Okay, let's dig into a real puzzle at the heart of the US economy. You've probably heard all the talk about closing the trade deficit, right? But for some reason, it just keeps getting bigger. So what's really going on here? We're going to break down that exact contradiction.
This quote right here, it absolutely nails the problem we're going to unravel. It hints that maybe, just maybe, two different government policies are actually at war with each other, with one completely canceling out the other.
So the usual game plan for fixing a trade deficit seems pretty simple on the surface, doesn't it? Get tough, slap on some tariffs, and watch that imbalance shrink. It sounds like it should work, but did it? So that's the big question. Did all that tough talk and aggressive trade policy actually do the trick? Did the deficit finally get smaller? Well, the data tells a very different story. That's right. Despite all the noise about trade, the deficit didn't just stay the same. It actually got worse. So what was really happening behind the scenes? Well, the answer isn't really about trade policy at all. It's about something called the twin deficit. This is the key idea right here, the twin deficit theory. Basically, it says that a government's budget deficit, when it spends way more money than it brings in, is almost always linked to its trade deficit, where the country buys more stuff from the world than it sells.
Here's an easy way to think about it. When a government borrows a ton of money to pay for things like, say, tax cuts, a lot of that cash actually comes from investors overseas. And to pay them back, the country ends up borrowing from abroad. And that borrowing shows up as a trade deficit. They're two sides of the same coin.
And this is where you see the policies on a total collision course. On one hand, the government was trying to shrink the trade deficit with tariffs. But at the exact same time, its fiscal policy, things like tax cuts, was making the budget deficit bigger. That pumped so much extra spending money into the economy that people just bought more imports, completely wiping out whatever the tariffs were trying to do. Fiscal policy won, hands down.
Okay, but is this just some neat theory that economists talk about, or can we actually see this pattern playing out when we look at the numbers from countries all around the world? Let's take a look.
All right, check out this chart. The line across the bottom is the government's budget. Deficit on the left, surplus on the right. The line going up the side is the trade balance. Now you can see most countries follow a pretty clear trend, but look way, way down in that bottom left corner. See that lonely red X? Yep, that's the United States.
I mean, that chart makes it crystal clear. The US is a massive global outlier. It's not just a leader, it's pretty much in a league of its own when it comes to having a huge budget deficit and a huge trade deficit at the same time. The champion of borrowing at home while buying from abroad.
But, this isn't just about numbers on a page or some dry economic debate. The sources we're looking at suggest this has much, much deeper implications for America's place in the world. So it really makes you wonder, when a country's economic policies at home are so directly fighting its goals on the world stage, is that just a simple policy mistake, or is it a sign of something much bigger, a deeper, more strategic problem? A real question to think about.